Are you thinking that you're too old to buy a house? I'm gonna tell you what I think. This is Shaheedah Hill, getting you over the hill to home ownership and helping you confidently buy your first home. I'm specifically speaking to you over 50, and you're kind of on the fence as to whether or not you should buy your first house or if you should buy a house again. Perhaps you owned one previously. And I'm going to tell you why I think you should, and I'm also going to tell you some tips that I want you to be mindful buying homes after 50. So first of all, over 50 is not old. Will Smith is over 50, Jennifer Lopez is over 50, Elon Musk, Halle Berry, Mark Wahlberg, who else is over 50? Michael Strahan. There are so many people, not just over 50, but over 60 doing their thing. And I'm sure you're one of those people as well, but you're just renting and you don't know whether you want to take on the additional responsibility of perhaps becoming a homeowner. This is why I think you should really consider it. It's because at this part of your life, you're probably going to enter retirement pretty soon. And you want as much as possible to stabilize your income. If you are renting, your income is not stable. At any point, the landlord, the apartment complex can raise your rent. And a lot of them have it that they're going to raise rent 5% every year, 7% every year, 10% every year. And they already have that kind of in their plan. So if you think about that year over year, will you be able to maintain that? Even if you get a cost of living increase in your pension, in your retirement, or something like that, can you maintain that level of increase and that instability? A lot of you after 50, you're not trying to move every year, every other year. You really want to be settled. And what I find working with my clients, and this is my favorite age group to work with for the most part, because number one, you definitely know what you want, your experience, you're not trying to just window shop, you know what kind of home you want. And what I find is either one or two things, that people at this age range, if they've been renting a long time, they could come from states or a particular area where it was too expensive to own a home. And a lot of times they will retire and move to a less expensive state and they'll buy a home. And often that's their first home that they've dreamt about for years and years and years. So it's a very exciting time for somebody over 50 to get their first house. And they've been planning for it, they've been saving for it, but it just wasn't a reality to do it after. Like I have clients that move from California, that move from New York, where they've rented their entire lives, and they'll move somewhere like Atlanta and they're able to purchase their first home. I also have people that just have rented, they're in their same communities, they've rented, but they always wanted to own a home, but didn't know it was possible for them. So all of those things, you really want to still buy a house regardless of your age. My oldest client was probably in her 90s, but I've had lots of clients in their 60s, I've had clients in their 70s. Mortgage companies love you as well. They cannot discriminate against your age. What they love about people over a certain age, typically closer to retirement, is that they have usually a stable income. They have a pension, they have retirement accounts, they have Social Security. So they can count on that money coming every month. So you are a low risk person to lend money for a mortgage. So you're in a great position usually at this point in your life. And it may not be in your 50s, but it may be at your either later 50s or 60s that you get this income stability. So let me tell you the 5 reasons I think you should buy a home, or the 5 things I want you to be mindful of if you're going to buy a home after 50. And I'm going to tell you one of the keys to your success at the end. So number one, I've said it before, you want to stabilize your expenses at this age, and a mortgage helps you do that. Whatever your mortgage is at the very beginning, principal and interest, it will stay the same. You have a fixed rate, it will stay the same year after year. The only thing that could ever change is your taxes. So if your city or state taxes increase, and your insurance, so your homeowner's insurance may go up but your principal and interest cannot change. And things like your homeowner's insurance and your taxes don't go up, very quickly. And I'm going to give you a tax tip for people over 50 as well, but they don't increase rapidly. You're not going to be paying, $100 in taxes a month, and the next month next year you're paying $300 in taxes a month. Your elected officials try to make sure they don't do major price increases in taxes, or they won't get reelected. So be mindful of that. Number 2, buying a home in your 50s, you're given the opportunity to age in place, to really buy a home that's going to fit you for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, that you'll be able to live there. So a lot of people over 50, depending on their health, want a ranch home because they know, in the future, they may not be able to get up all those steps, or they definitely want an owner suite on the main level, or maybe an additional bedroom on the main level. And you may have, at this age, elderly parents that may have to move in with you at some point. So you want to be mindful of that as well. Do you have the capacity in the home you're going to buy to potentially have your parents living with you? But not all clients over 50 want to downsize. Some of them want to upsize because they have lived in apartments their whole life. They really want the space of a large home, and they're thinking that they're going to have a lot of family. If they have a lot of children, maybe grandchildren, they'll be coming to visit. My only thing with that is, don't buy a home so large for people that only come to visit you on the holidays, because you still have to clean up that place, you still have to maintain that place. But I have seen a lot of my 50 and older, they're buying it for the family that's going to come visit during the holidays. But remember, that's your house 365 days a year. So you really want to buy a house for yourself, they can stay at a local hotel. Number 3, taxes. And this is another a big thing to be mindful of for income stability, is that most counties and cities have senior exemptions from the majority of your property taxes. In Georgia, they generally begin in your early 60s, where you're exempt from, if not 100%, you're exempt from the school tax. Most of your property taxes in your counties or your cities goes to schools. And so a lot of times, most counties or cities check where you're trying to live and ask, do they have senior exemptions from property taxes? In my county, for example, they don't, seniors don't pay, over 62, they don't pay any school tax. And the school tax is about 65% or more of the total property tax bill. So not only will you be saving because you're stabilizing your income, but your bill, your mortgage will be a lot less than younger people for that same house. So you really can take advantage of lower property taxes, and more than likely much lower than you would be paying if you were renting, because if you're renting, you're still paying your landlord's property taxes. So this is a huge benefit for buying a home as a senior. If you haven't already liked and subscribed to my channel, please like this video because it helps the algorithm, but please like and subscribe to my channel for videos every week. Number 4, 55 and older communities. So you have an opportunity. This is one area in housing that people are allowed to discriminate on age. So there are 55 and older communities that are only for people 55 and older. They also have active adult communities, and I'm going to tell you the difference. So 55 and older, you have to be above 55 to live in that community. Now, for active adult communities, however, they just make the community more attractive to older individuals. So they might be all ranch homes. They might have, doorknobs that if you had arthritis, or kind of those handle doorknobs, they'll make things so it's more senior friendly, but they won't make that restriction in the HOA covenants that people have to be over 55, but it will attract more people over 55. Now, if you choose to be in a restrictive 55 and older community, I want you to make sure you get the HOA restrictions ahead of time, because a lot of times they'll have restrictions where someone under the age of 55 cannot live in your home for more than 60 calendar days. So they don't want your grandchild to come move with you and they're living with you throughout the school year. Or you have maybe a relative or you have a child that's going to move back home and stay with you, or they think they're going to stay with you in that 55 and older community. That would be an HOA restriction, and you could be fined for as long as they're there. And you're probably wondering, well, how will they know? Nosy neighbors, for the most part. They'll see your younger child, coming in. They'll see your younger grandchild coming in. And it's not for, they can come and visit for the weekends and that sort of thing. But what I've seen in most of the the 55 and older communities is that they have a 60-day or so, it varies by community, about how many days somebody's allowed to stay with you under a certain age. Because if you're thinking about it, the people that have paid to be in these 55 and older restrictive communities, they've done so because they don't want, kids playing around and riding their bike, going on their lawn. They want that community of the same age, the same mindset. So they will turn you in to the HOA if you move people, or a lot of people, or a few people for a long period of time under 55. So if you're thinking about those kind of communities, make sure you know the restrictions before you buy. And finally, I want to give you the key to success over 55. You really need to find a good realtor. Because, for example, my mom is in her 60s and she had not bought a home in many years. So she had lived in her house, she was selling her house, and she was actually upsizing to a larger home. And things have changed a lot. So if you've never bought a home, or you bought a home a long time ago, everything is electronic. They don't want your paper application. They don't want to meet with you in person. And I'm sure during the pandemic, people got more used to this, but this was very different for her. She was like, well, I can't just hand it in. I can't just meet with that person. No, they want everything scanned. They want your pension statement PDF. They want your social security statement PDF. They want everything online. You're going to DocuSign everything. So if you're not up on the latest technology, you definitely want a realtor to kind of walk you through some things. You want to find a good lender to walk you through some things, because you may not be used to all of the things that are going to come and that they're going to require of you, and they're going to require it of you pretty quickly, because they're going to move very quickly from qualification. They may say, scan me over this document or send me that document, and you're going to have to be able to do that with the help of a good realtor or a good lender. So I just want you to be mindful of that, because a lot of things, it requires a lot of paperwork that it usually didn't require prior to probably about 10 years ago after the economic collapse. There's much more paperwork required when you're buying a home than ever before. So I really want you to find a good realtor that's going to have some patience, that's going to be able to help you for anything that's electronic or computer related or internet related, and that will be very helpful to you as you go through this journey. And you also want to make sure they're really looking out for you, because you can't afford to get something that's not going to last you for a long time, or it's going to be very heavy on maintenance. You want to be able to get in, know that you have a low maintenance situation. It's not going to cost you that much in repairs and major expenses, because again, you're on probably a fixed income at this point in your life. So you just want to be mindful of that. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel for new videos every week.